Type 2 diabetes, which is our, what, 7th leading killer in the country, is not a disease of sugar. It's actually a disease characterized by saturated fat, oxidized... Fuck! Hey y'all.
Stickers.
We just finished recording the next What's the Deal episode, and it was all about carbohydrates. How do you feel about that?
I feel great. I'm really excited to share that one with you guys. It'll be up this Thursday if you're watching this video when it comes out. Latest episode of the podcast. And yeah, so it's all about carbohydrates. Carbohydrates seem to be this sort of area of contention within the fitness and nutrition world.
Big time.
There's a lot
Not even fitness and nutrition, just like
just in general.
Just the West.
Yeah. And there's just a lot of, information and misinformation out there about the realities of carbohydrates. And so we wanted to sort of clear the air on it.
Yeah, absolutely. So what we want to do for this video is give you the summary, basically, of the topic episode. And so we'll just go through the bullet points of everything kind of condensed so that you can get maximum takeaway. So, the first thing to say is that carbohydrates are an essential macronutrient and the preferred source of fuel for the body.
Yep, they're one of the, kind of 3 major macronutrients that provide energy to the body. And they're also, carbohydrates are basically made of, simple or complex sugar molecules such as glucose, fructose, things like that. And, some foods that are high in carbohydrates include a lot of plant foods, potatoes, rice, beans, fruit, and then of course, processed junk food.
Yep. So high-carb diets that focus on whole plant foods are not associated with weight gain. They are associated with weight loss. However, diets high in refined carbohydrates and sugars are associated with weight gain. And,
there's no link from, a common claim is that carbohydrates cause inflammation or are linked to inflammation, and those found in real food, like we've talked about, whole foods, there's no link to inflammation. They're actually anti-inflammatory, whereas processed foods and processed carbohydrates are actually highly linked to inflammation.
I wouldn't say highly linked, but they are linked. They do seem to increase it a little bit, but not a ton. And actually, grains are highly anti-inflammatory, despite everything you hear in the paleo community about grains being inflammatory. So the sugar in fruit is absolutely different from the sugar in a Pepsi. They are not, you cannot conflate the two. Fruit intake is associated with a reduction in disease, a reduction in inflammation, a reduction in heart disease, all of these things. It's not the same as drinking soda.
Yep, and eating refined sugar is actually linked to non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, diabetes, obesity, cancer, and heart disease, so your carbs should come from whole foods.
So type 2 diabetes, our 7th leading cause of death in the United States, is not a disease caused by sugar, as everyone would like you to think it is. It's actually a disease caused by saturated fat. Which happens to sort of gunk up the insulin pathway process and doesn't allow glucose to get into the cell.
Causes insulin resistance. And low-carb diets are not promoted in the medical and scientific community. It's a general consensus that these diets are not only ineffective, but dangerous. And so that's something to consider when thinking about these things.
Absolutely. In terms of athletes, carbohydrates are essential for exercise intensities of high and low. Like, you will burn carbohydrates no matter if you're fat adapted or not. So especially if you're an athlete that does a lot of high intensity stuff, you have to have carbohydrates. You have to have glycogen stores for that.
Athletes require carbohydrates, and they have very different metabolic requirements than the average person. And so as a result, they might need to sacrifice eating, super high fiber whole plant foods and focus a little bit more on a little bit more refined carbohydrate sources like white rice or maple syrup or dates or things like that.
Yep. So really the takeaway of the episode is that whole carbohydrate sources from plants are absolutely the healthiest thing you can put in your body. processed and refined sugar like industrial fructose, sucrose, things like that, you really should either eliminate or reduce your consumption.
So definitely be sure to check out the full episode of the podcast that we get into a ton more detail on all these sort of topics, and it'll be sure to kind of answer any questions you have about carbohydrates. So thanks again for watching and for listening to the podcast. We appreciate it.
Go eat some plants. Go eat some
Carbs.